Hello, and welcome to the Quick Flick Critic Reviews and Interviews. I'm your host, John Smistad, and these are my takes on films both new and not so, spanning a wide range of genres and tastes, plus conversations with some of the coolest people in indie entertainment. Now, let us rock with this one, shall we? My guest today on the Quick Flick Critic Reviews and Interviews is REID RYAN. REID is the executive producer of documentary came out last year, 2022, Facing Nolan. I've seen it. It is outstanding. REID also happens to be the son of the subject of the documentary. That is the great legendary pitcher, Nolan Ryan. REID, first of all, welcome to the Quick Flick Critic Reviews and Interviews. Really a pleasure to have you, sir.
Hey, John, happy to be here, man. Thanks for asking me to come on.
I've seen the documentary, Facing Nolan. I'm a gigantic fan of your dad's. We should point out, in case you don't know, Nolan Ryan is a Hall of Fame pitcher, played longer than anybody ever did in Major League Baseball. 27 years, holds dozens of records, among them career strikeouts in a season, and seven, that's right, no hitters. It's called Facing Nolan because some of the greatest hitters of all time talk about the daunting task of facing your dad, facing Nolan Ryan, but it's a tribute to the man beyond the sensational and iconic baseball pitcher that he was. REID, your dad retired back in 1993. I saw his last game, and it was a sad occasion when he destroyed his elbow and wouldn't pitch anymore under the Kingdome against the Mariners, and that was a sad moment for me. But he's been retired for a few years now. Why now with the documentary? Like I said, it came out last year, Facing Nolan, and what were the machinations that went into launching REID, this project, and then getting Facing Nolan out to us to watch and enjoy as a documentary?
Well, you know, the documentary sort of rise of documentaries really sort of corresponded with COVID in a lot of ways when the Jordan documentary came out, and more of these documentaries have been hitting these streaming platforms, and started probably with the 30 for 30s that were on ESPN. And so over the years, people had reached out to him and inquired about the possibility of doing a documentary, and he had really never had any interest in it. From 2013 to 2020, I was president of the Houston Astros, living in Houston.
Right.
And when COVID came, stepped away from that. And my brother was talking to me. I was looking for, kind of the next project. And he said, hey, I've had all these people reach out and Dad's not really been interested. Why don't you pick this up and, see if he might do it? And so I started looking at some of the pitch decks and looking at some of the people. And it was an incredible group of folks that were pitching us, all people that had done 30 for 30s or Netflix documentaries. I mean, a very talented group of folks. And so I visited with my dad, and he's like, nope, not doing it.
He's a pretty humble guy, Nolan Ryan. Yeah.
So like any good son, I went to my mom and said, hey, what do you think about this? And she said, I love it. And she basically went in and said, Nolan, I followed you all over the place. You're going to do this documentary. And I said, well, let's interview these guys, find the right mix, because with my dad, it's really, John, about the connection and having a couple guys from Texas and Bradley Jackson who grew up in Houston, and then Russell Groves, who grew up outside of Fort Worth. You ended up having the Rangers and Astros mix. They're both guys that had lived in Austin, went to UT, and were in this area, so they knew about the Express and what he had done post-playing. And just really, there was a connection there. And so he said, well, I'll do one interview and they can come follow me one time. And that turned into many interviews and many more times of them following him. And we just built a great rapport, and I think it showed in the way the film came out.
Well, I tell you, it did. You talked about your dad being hesitant to do the interviews and be a part of a documentary about him. It sounds like my dad. It's not about them, man. It never is, yeah. And that's a special character. Believe me, I'm very intimately aware of that. I wanted to talk about family, because I know that's the most important thing to you, and clearly to your dad. Growing up, your dad was gone a lot doing his job, being a Major League Baseball player, and your mom, Ruth Ryan, was a de facto single parent. Now you had a father who was blessed and who loved his kids. That wasn't the point, but he just wasn't there. He was gone a lot. playing baseball and pitching on the road, and your mom was holding down the fort. I've heard your dad talk about this and read about this, and he understands and is deeply appreciative of the job that his wife Ruth and your mom did while he was gone. Can you talk about growing up with that dynamic, with your dad, not just nationally famous, but world famous as a legend in the making, one of the greatest pitchers we're ever going to know, and then your mom, basically raising you kids on her own, even though your dad did as much as he could. That's one strong woman as well. Can you talk about both of your folks, if you would, please?
Yeah, happy to do it. I grew up so blessed because I have a great mom and dad, and my dad made it a point to always include us, when he was going to the ballpark or when he was going on the road trip. So we got to really grow up in major league clubhouses, and that part of my childhood was incredible. He also always made it a point in the off season to do things with us, whether it was going to football games or, hunting and fishing or going to the ranch. Yeah. So he made up for the times that he wasn't around. But the reality was, during the season, you live by that schedule, and he had to be at the ballpark every day at 1:00. So things like coaching us in Little League or, being at my games when I played, he maybe saw me play 4 or 5 games ever from T-ball all the way up because he just wasn't there when we were playing. So that was the negative. But the cool thing was my mom, incredible athlete, state champ in tennis, as you saw from the movie. She ended up coaching both my brother and I in Little League and knows more baseball than most of the guys knew.
I read about that. She coached you and Reese, your brother, and you have a sister, Wendy. She coached you guys in Little League baseball.
Yeah, we actually won the league in Alvin, and I don't think the other dads liked it a whole lot. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Old boy network.
Good time. So it wasn't a sad story. It was just adapt and survive. And the way that we adapted was mom picked up where she had to. And then in the off season, my dad always made sure we had lots of fun. So we got the best of both worlds.
Very cool. And your mom also, verify this if you will, caught your dad in the off season on occasion?
Her and my brother and I would all play catch with him. Now, he wasn't, throwing a bullpen and bringing it, but as he's ready to go to spring training, we all would. He didn't, employ anybody around the house to try to help him get ready.
There you go. I got one final question, and again, we're talking to REID RYAN. He's the executive producer of the documentary Facing Nolan about his father, Nolan Ryan. What's one thing about your dad, about Nolan Ryan, that would surprise us that as his son?
He likes to laugh, and I think the guys did a really good job because you see this kind of tough guy exterior, but deep down he's somebody that likes to have a good time. He enjoys a good laugh. He's a prankster. He likes to razz people, and that's sort of the ultimate sign of respect, that you're kind of in the inner circle, is that he gives you a hard time. And I think you got to see that a little bit in the way the grandkids also reacted to making fun of him. Yeah. Now you could see him really belly laugh and enjoy that as well.
Is there any way that you can describe how much Ruth, but your dad adores his grandkids? You have 3 kids.
Yeah. He loves having the kids around, no doubt about it. And, shows up at the games, especially during playoff time. And, you never get that competitive fire out of you. And so he and I sitting in the stands, and unfortunately now my kids are all in college, so that is over. But, man, those poor Russ would look up and see me and my dad getting on them at the games. And, it's a common bond. But yeah, we love being around them and supporting them, and they're doing big things, all of them, and it's really cool to see.
Awesome. As a fellow dad, I can completely relate. REID RYAN, executive producer of the documentary Facing Nolan, about his father and the legacy that is his father, Nolan Ryan, one of the greatest baseball players, the greatest power pitcher that the game will ever know. Should mention that Facing Nolan is available to stream on Amazon Prime Video. That's where I saw it. Like I say, it's outstanding. I highly, highly recommend it. Are there other platforms that folks can catch Facing Nolan, Reid?
Yeah, it's on Netflix as well,
Okay.
and Amazon Prime, and some of the cable systems have it on video on demand. So yeah, Netflix or Amazon Prime are two great places to go.
Awesome. REID Ryan, thanks again. This has been a total pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Good seeing you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Quick Flick Critic Reviews and Interviews. Now I ask that you please subscribe and be notified of my continuous new episode announcements. As always, you can read all of my flick reviews on my long-running blog, The Quick Flick Critic, at this URL you now see displayed on your screen right down here. So until next time, make it a great day and make it count. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh.